Hi guys, and welcome. It's Dee from Know Better Do Better, and here's another video in my series based around encopresis, constipation, soiling, whichever you want to call it. Today I thought I would give you a little bit of a rundown on the body and how the colon works, how it works, I guess, in relation to this condition, and just an understanding so that when you stop and think about what's happening inside your child's body, it makes so much more sense. So I am a qualified colon hydrotherapist. I talk to clients all day about how the colon works. This is not a substitute for medical advice. I've been studying case studies of other people and what they've written about their condition, as well as my own child. And this is my explanation. This is a layperson's explanation in the hope that it makes more sense to you once I explain it like this. So to get underway, just to let you know that this here is your colon. It's your large intestinal bowel. Now, I don't know if you know this, but it is about as long as you are tall, or as tall as your child. Now, the way the digestive system works is you chew your food, it comes down into your stomach, enzymes and digestive chemicals and things are added. It starts to break down into a liquid form called chyme. The chyme then travels down through in increments into the small intestine, which is this very thin but very long organ in the body. As it travels through there, nutrients gets absorbed, all the goodness gets absorbed out of the chyme, and it just continues to keep traveling down the small intestine. Now, when it gets to the large intestine, which is at this point here, the liquid just comes into the large intestine, and that's where we start, I guess, the elimination process. So pretty much everything that needs to be taken out is there. This is liquid waste. So if you imagine, the colon works on what they call peristalsis, and it is the same thing in your body that makes you vomit. Pretty much when you vomit, you've got rings of muscle that just one after the other, concertina up, pushing the food up and bleh. So when it comes to actually moving the liquid waste around your colon, it's the same thing. It just although contracts and then moves it around. So what happens is, as that moisture is moved, as the liquid waste is moved around here, the colon is absorbing water out of it. So as it travels around, it starts to thicken up. And by the time it gets down to this point here, it should be a firm but not hard mass, because one of the things that happens is when you have that poo and it gets nicely formed to the bottom, it's the bulk of the poo, it's that firmness that actually triggers your rectum to tell your brain that there is a poo there that needs to come out. Now, this is really important because a lot of doctors tend to recommend high dose softeners. In Australia, we call it Osmolax or Movicol, two different ones. America tends to be Miralax. So sometimes they will recommend a really soft poo of applesauce consistency, or even soft serve. Try and understand that what we're doing there is we are not triggering the body's response to eject that poo. We are going to just it's like us when we have diarrhea and you get that feeling like, it's this soft, it's coming out, and we want to hold it. Now, the concept of holding your poo in is going to be really important in understanding this condition. So if you can look at those two things of children with encopresis and, constipation that perhaps hasn't become encopresis yet, can often be caused by that child holding that poo in. If that's a behaviour that they've learned, and, that's a whole other video which I will do. If that's a behaviour they've learned, just imagine adding a liquid poo to that scenario, and what you're going to do is you're going to reinforce that holding behaviour, and they're just going to keep holding on for dear life and not let that out. So ideally, what you want in a child is actually a firm but pliable poo, because you do need the trigger for that urge to come out. To try and explain constipation. So constipation is a hardening of the fecal matter for whatever reason. Now, this is a whole other topic as well, but a lot of people look to dietary, gluten, dairy. It could be a food intolerance. But if your child is at the point where they're soiling, or they have been long-term constipated for ages, just removing those triggers now is not going to suddenly fix this all. Your child might be the exception to that, and I really hope it is. But you've got to look at the rest of the big picture and look at the rest of the behaviours to see whether or not you think that your child has more than one facet of it, because every single child with this condition is different. Your child might not be diagnosable encopresis yet, but if they are chronically constipated and ongoing, it could be, one more hardened poo away from soiling, which is when you get your diagnosis, technically, encopresis. So to break down my view on constipation for you, it can be caused by not drinking enough water. Absolutely. Happens a lot in adults. Can be what you eat, but in these children that end up with encopresis, or sometimes what they call slow transit constipation, you tend to find that it's a knock-on effect. This is my slow moving train analogy. So, and I explain this to adults. So if you imagine your liquid poo is coming down through your colon. Now, in a child that holds their poo in, and you won't necessarily see them do it, because you go, oh, that's not my child. My child doesn't stand there knock-kneed and, red in the face. I never saw my child do it either, but I can tell you that he used to hold onto his poo. He held onto it because he was way too busy. Now, all that needs to happen is they hold on because they're too busy or scared or whatever reason, and that's a whole other video in itself. If they hold on and the urge to poo goes away, and that poo stays in there that bit longer, it's going to sit in here. The body doesn't know to stop drawing moisture out of it. So it's just going to keep drawing moisture. And what happens? It gets harder. And say your child, next time the urge to comes back to go, and they ignore it, and they put it off, and the urge goes away, and the poo stays there, and it gets harder. It creates a plug. You might have seen in your child like mega poos or like softball-sized poos come out of them. That becomes a plug. So if you can imagine everything else then that comes through after that gets stuck. So slow transit constipation to me is like a slow moving train. You can have the fast train leave the station, but all it's going to do is run into the back of that slow train, and it's going to stay a slow train. So all that happens then is all of the hardened poo, if you're lucky, will move down, and you're just going to snap the end off it, basically. So some will snap off, then it will just keep coming through, and all that happens is it's never going to clear. That fast train is never going to get to. Don't you love the modern technology? I'm filming this on my phone, and my phone rang, and it cut out my recording. So we're at the train station. Back to my analogy, okay? So, like I said, whatever that slow-moving train is just coming through slowly, any soft poo that comes up here is just going to be hard by the time it gets to here. It's ongoing. And that's, if you're lucky, if it doesn't just stop altogether, fill the colon, impact the colon, and that's when you get your overflow, also known as oozy-goozy poozies in my book. I will explain that a little bit later, but that's what happens. The train stops, can't get out, and then you're just going to get overflow soiling. So even if you're on the slow transit constipation, if that train stops, you're next level. So all of us, with parents of these kids, when you go to the doctor, you go, oh, it's just constipation. Look at the bigger picture, because how long is this constipation going on, and is it one slow train away from becoming encopresis? So what I tell my adult clients is you've got to get that train out, because once you clear that slow moving train, you get all that poo out. The fast train is going to take the fast track. It's going to come out the station, and all things going well, and that they're not going to then stop it at the station and hold it in and have it go hard again. It comes out as a perfectly formed poo. When we started our Soiling Solutions program and we cleaned my son out, which, got rid of the slow moving train, we didn't use a softener after that, because, okay, I need my technology sorted. My phone rang again and cut me out. Okay, so I was explaining, once we cleared out the slow moving train with my son, and we got onto the program where essentially the poo comes out every day. If the poo's not stuck in there, the poo can't get hard. And what we saw was that poo didn't need the softener because it was a normal poo. I know we haven't seen that probably in a long time in your household, but it was amazing. And it's just something I've learnt. You've got to clear that train. That's not to say they won't try and hold it in, but that's one of the reasons why you go with a program to help them let the poo go. So I'm hoping that makes sense to you. So next time when you look at what's happening in your child's body, you know, these are children, you can't get them to drink massive amounts of water, but if they drink a normal amount of water and the poo comes out daily, it's not hard. It's what we're aiming for. Okay, I think that's all on that. I will get back to how that all works with encopresis, and I will revisit the digestive chart, but that's probably the main point that I was trying to make with all of that is, you know, constipation can, you know, if you're just battling constipation at the moment, consider this as well. A child can poo around a fecal impaction. So they can be blocked through here, and because the colon is quite stretchy, the forming poo can actually just go around the outside of it and come out the bowel as normal. I've seen in my own child flat poos. So if you've ever seen a flat poo, what happens there is it's lower down, let's say around about there. As the poo is coming through, it's been squashed between the colon wall and the poo, and it doesn't sort of have time to re-sort itself out before it comes out, and that's when you get a flat poo. Crazy and amazing, pretty gross, but just another piece in the puzzle of trying to unlock your own child's habits, because this is why this is so complex. This is why doctors can really just say, here, drink this, tell them to sit on the toilet 3 times a day, because every child's at a different stage. Doesn't matter what stage your child is at, Soiling Solutions will get it under control and change where you're at. I know I am going to mention it so often, but the program makes sense. The program works with this. It works with the psychological. So anyway, yeah, I will touch on impactions. I will touch on how do you know if your child is impacted, and what to do if they are. That's a whole other video as well. This is a lot of info. So take that in, get your head around it, get your head around how that colon is working, because that will give you a good idea then of the mechanics of what's going on inside your child's body. So until next time, I'm Dee from Know Better Do Better, and I will be talking to you soon. Have a great day.